What's happening, everyone? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today we're taking a look at the 2021 Ford Explorer Limited Hybrid. Now, I'm super excited about this for a couple reasons. Firstly, I've never actually been inside of an Explorer Limited Hybrid before, so I'm kind of excited to see what all the fuss is about and figure out all of the different features and options and things like that this thing's going to have in comparison to just the regular Explorer Limited. Before we get started, want to thank John from Formula Ford in Pickering for letting me use this vehicle to shoot today's video. Drop down in the comment section below for their contact information. And also want to thank you guys so much for helping to support the channel. If you're enjoying the content, make sure that you subscribe with the bell notifications on, like the video, and consider sharing it with your social networks. Now let's dive right into it and see what the new 2021 Ford Explorer Limited Hybrid has to offer. Taking a peek under the hood of the vehicle. So a few things to point out. The Explorer Limited does have two available engine choices, but the Hybrid is obviously only one, and that's the 3.3 liter engine that we're looking at underneath the hood. When it comes down to it from a power perspective, the Hybrid Limited is going to be able to push out 318 horsepower and 322 pound-foot of torque. So plenty powerful. Taking a look under the hood, so it is fairly straightforward. Nice look to it, easily top up some fluids if we need to. We've got easy access to our windshield wiper fluid, as well as our battery. So if we ever need to give ourselves a jump, we've got the capabilities to do that. And then we've got an anti-roll bar along the top there as well. So really, really nice look under the hood of the Hybrid. Taking a peek at the key fob, so nothing's changed from the 2020 year to the 2021, but we do have our unlock button, lock button, remote start, our trunk release, as well as our horn or our panic alarm button. Then underneath the key fob there, as you can see, we also do have an emergency access key that we can use if we ever need to gain access to the vehicle. If our fob has died, click that back into place. Now, in order to be able to remote start the vehicle, we do have the ability to use our cell phone using the Ford Pass app. However, we can remote start directly through the key fob. All we're going to do is press the lock button once and the circle button twice. Remote start is there, and in order to cancel the remote start, we just press that circle button once. And when it comes down to filling up in gas in this thing, so looking at the horsepower and torque specs, if you want to get those numbers, you will have to use a premium fuel. However, minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just your regular 87 octane, so just your regular fuel. You don't need to use the premium stuff, but you will notice a little bit of a boost in performance if you do. Now, filling up is straightforward just along our driver's side, but one thing that's new is that this gas cap is now actually locking. So if we want to be able to open the cap up, what we have to do inside the vehicle, as you can see there, we do have a gas button. So what we're going to do is just press that and watch this. Press the button, which is going to unlock, and then it's a capless system. All we have to do is just insert the hose, fill up. Once we're done, we're just going to click and lock that back into place. So I do love the fact that Ford has now included that in the 2021s because it was just a push in order to open up in previous generations. Now, when it comes down to towing inside of the Explorer Limited Hybrid, couple things to take into account. Looking at the hitch there, I do recommend making sure if you're ever going to tow something, get it from the factory. It just looks aesthetically more pleasing. But from a towing perspective, the Explorer Limited Hybrid is able to pull up to 5,000 pounds. Now, in order to be able to open up the trunk, we can actually do it a few different ways. So looking at the fob, we can press this button twice. So just double click that in order to open up the back. But there are a number of other ways to do it as well. So if we look at the Explorer lettering, just right in the R in Explorer, there's an arrow pointing underneath. So we can press that button in order to be able to open up that liftgate instead. And the other option, because this is a limited version of the vehicle, it does have a foot-activated powered liftgate. So if your hands are full of groceries, golf bags, kids, whatever the case may be, all you have to do, pass your foot underneath and step back, and look at this. Up it goes, amazing. Let's have a peek inside. Next up, taking a peek at the cargo dimensions of the vehicle. So those are going to be showing up shortly. Now, one of the things to note is that we do have the option of pulling out this bottom tray, which is going to give us a little bit more storage space top to bottom. You can store the tray just underneath there as well if you need that little bit of extra storage space. Now look at how that storage space gets expanded when we fold down that third row, so we can fold down the seats independently if we need to, but we've got a ton more space, so it does make it a little bit deeper. And then lastly, look at the dimensions when all three rows are folded down. Now, one thing to note about that second row, this one that we're looking at does have the middle configuration where we've got that middle seat, which means that that seat can be folded down independently. So it's not a 60-40 split, which is what we would normally see. Instead, it's an individual seat that we can fold down. So if you just want the middle seat folded, you can do that. If you want one of the side seats folded, you've got the capabilities to do that as well. Taking a peek in the back cargo area. So along the left-hand side, nothing really there. We've got a couple hooks on the bottom and a little bit of storage space along both sides. We do have the ability to pull this tray out completely if we need to, if we need a little bit of extra storage space. And then underneath this, we would just pull it up in order to reveal our mini spare tire. And then you can just kind of make it out there, but that is the white spigot that we would use if we ever needed to use a jerry can in order to fill up the vehicle. Now along the right-hand side as we look there, so a couple things to point out. We do have our traditional cigarette lighter adapter, and then we've got these buttons. So in order to be able to fold the third row down, it is power folding. So we can fold down the left side independently, the right side independently, or we can press this button in order to fold them both down at the same time. So folding the seats down is very straightforward. All we do is press and hold, and watch this. Power folding both seats. Now that is standard in the limited and above for the trim level of the vehicle. Folding down the second row is also very straightforward. As you can see there, we've got a lever along the bottom. All we're going to do is just pull that lever in order to have that seat folded forward. Now this is the configuration with the bench seat instead, but one of the nice things is that this middle seat is actually independent. So if we want to, we can leave it up, or we can take this lever along the top and we can just pull it in order to fold that forward as well. So really, really useful if you need to have a little bit more storage space, because we can fold down that third row, fold down part of that second row, and it really is going to be dependent on you. Now, having said that, when you get the configuration that we're looking at with this third seat in the middle row, the problem there is that passing through to the back becomes a little bit more challenging, because without that seat, we can easily walk through into the back. But having said that, looking at the top, we can easily just crank this lever, and then in order to slide the seat forward and get inside. Now there's not a lot in the third row of the vehicle. We've got a few cup holders there, a hook for whenever the third row is folded down, so if we need to hold anything down, we've got that capability. A little storage space along the side, and along this side there also is another cup holder and another hook. Now, when it comes down to spacing inside of this thing, so I am 6 feet tall, and I've got the passenger seat, so that middle row set up for somebody who's also 6 feet, and then the driver's seat is also set up for somebody who's 6 feet tall. So taking a look there, I still do have a little bit of knee space, a little bit of foot space. There isn't a ton of space, so one thing to note is that if you've got taller passengers, like I've probably got about 2, maybe 3 inches of head space, 2.5 inches of head space up overhead. So if you've got somebody that's, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", the front row is ideal, maybe getting away with that middle row, just depending on how tall all of the other passengers are. But it is nice to know that if you've got full-size adults, you can still get a lot of people inside of the Explorer. When it comes down to second row spacing, so I've got the driver's seat set up for somebody who's 6 feet tall, and I still have a nice amount of knee room. So a couple inches, nothing too crazy, but I am fairly comfortable there. I've got enough space for my feet as well. Now up overhead is a little bit of a different story. Now I'm 6 feet tall, and I've maybe got 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of head clearance space. So not a ton of space. If you've got somebody taller and you've got the twin panel sunroof, they might need to sit either in the middle seat or in the front seat, where we've got the option to lower those seats out a little bit more. So people that are 6'5", 6'6", definitely front seat instead. But having said that, there still is plenty of room. Now this configuration is the 7-seat configuration option, giving us this middle seat for that bench instead. But if you don't need it, if you only have 3 or 4 people inside of the vehicle, but you need a little bit more space, I'd absolutely recommend the dual captain's chairs. And the big reason why is because it's easier to pass through to the back when we've got those dual captain chairs instead. When it comes down to some added features in the back, when we have the bench seat, we do have cup holders there. Now, if this seat was gone, we would essentially have a hole there, but we'd have a tiny little console on the bottom, and it would also have some small cup holders. So nice that we do have cup holders as an option there. And as we start to move along the side, so in the back of the console there, so we've got our adjusting buttons, so we can control the fan speed. We can also control the temperature from the back. We also have the ability to turn on the power and make it go to either our face or our feet. And then also on top of that, there is heated seats. Now that's one thing that's different for the 2021 Explorer. You have to be in the limited version or above in order to get that second row heated seat. Now having said that, it is going to be just for the dual captain's chairs. This middle seat in the bench, unfortunately, is not going to be heated. Outside of that, 2 other things, we do have our USB and our USB-C ports in the back, as well as a built-in inverter. So we can plug in a traditional wall outlet if we need to power some things up. And on top of that, a little bit of storage space right in the bottom underneath. Now, both the driver and passenger seat also do have a little pocket in the back if we ever need to store a little bit of extras. Now, one other thing to point out, looking at this, a sunshade. So really, really useful, especially on those bright sunny days. All we have to do is tick this up and down in order to be able to open and close it. It's very straightforward, but a really, really nice look. Now, taking a peek at the driver's door in this vehicle, so really, really beautiful look to it. I love this metallic kind of look along the side of the doors there, and we do have a beautiful Bang & Olufsen sound system inside of the limited version of the vehicle. Along the very top, as you can see, we've got our unlock and our lock buttons, and then 3 individual seat memory buttons, so really, really useful if you've got multiple drivers inside of the vehicle. And one of the nice things there is that we can have, remember, our side view mirrors, as well as our power adjustable steering wheel and our driver's seat. So all you would do is sit up your seat, set up your steering wheel, set up your side view mirrors, and then press and hold either 1, 2, or 3 in order to set up an individual profile for 3 different people. As we start to move down, we've got the ability to power fold our side view mirrors. We can kill off power to the back windows, control our side view mirrors, and then roll our windows up and down very, very simply. As we start to look just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. So a few things to point out there. We do have the ability to either open or close our tailgate. We've got our gas cap unlocked, so we can easily press that in order to open up the gas tank there. And from there, we've also got a selector switch to figure out what's happening with our running lamps. Now, really, the only 2 that I'd recommend to consider would be off or A, the auto setting, because that's automatically going to adjust our daytime or our nighttime running lamps depending on the time of day. The other option is to go to the very bottom where our running lamps would be on all the time. From there, we've also got the middle button there, which will turn on our fog lamps, and then this plus or minus button. These buttons are going to adjust the screen brightness for both the instrument cluster as well as for that Sync3 screen. Adjusting the driver's seat inside of this vehicle is a very straightforward process. So just by our left-hand side there, so left hand of the driver, right hand of the passenger side, we've got 3 individual buttons there. The very first one is going to allow us to bring our seat forwards or backwards. If we're vertically challenged, we can lift the whole seat up, or if you're a little bit taller, you can lower the whole seat down. From there, the middle button, that's going to be for our backrest, so we've got the ability to move our backrest forwards or backwards. Really, really nice. And then the very last one is going to be a round button, which is going to be for our lumbar support. So if you need a little bit of extra support for your lower back, you've got the capabilities to do that. Adjusting the steering wheel is an equally straightforward process. Inside of the Limited, it is a power adjustable telescopic steering wheel. So just by our left knee, there is a round dial there, and we can use that in order to bring the steering wheel towards us. We can move it away from us. We can lift the whole thing up, or we can drop the whole thing down. So really a matter of whatever your preference is there. And as I mentioned, once you've got your steering wheel and your seat and your side view mirrors set up, press 1, 2, or 3 in order for it to remember your own personal settings. Next up, this is the Sync3 system that's available inside of the 2021 Explorer. Now, Sync 4 is available in some vehicles, unfortunately not in the Explorer lineup as of yet. Hopefully we'll see that coming inside of the 2022 vehicles or 2023. Fingers crossed. But Sync3 screen, now one thing to note, this thing is fixed. Unfortunately, it doesn't slide up or down. It's locked in place there. Now, this is the screen that you're going to be met with when the vehicle's first turned on. So taking a look there, we do have our home button. So if you're ever on any other screen and you want to get back to the home button, all we have to do is just press this home icon along the top there in order to bring us back to this summary screen. Along the left hand side, we do have our built-in navigation, so our factory navigation, whatever song is currently playing, if our phone was connected, as well as a hot button press in order to see what's going on with our engine. So because this is the hybrid, that's why we have this unique look. If you didn't have the hybrid, you just wouldn't have this button there. So home, and very straightforward from there. So let's start off with, let's go with audio first. So audio along the top, we've got our ability to look through different sources, so our AM, FM, Sirius XM. If our cell phone was connected, it would show up there. And pressing back, And we've also got the ability to tune in a few different ways. So we can either manually tune if we want to change a station there. We've got the ability to do that. We can use the tuning knob, or we can use our voice command button on our steering wheel. And as you can see there along the bottom, we do have a series of different presets that are both AM, FM, Sirius XM. So a nice little mix. So if you listen to different stations, you've got the ability to set that up. In order to be able to save a preset, once you've changed the station that you'd want to set, all you're going to do is press and hold. As you can see there, it's now saved it as a preset. Adding a phone is also a very straightforward process. All we're going to do is literally just add phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
And follow the instructions. So we're going to turn on Bluetooth on our phone. And we're going to wait as Ford Explorer is going to show up there. Perfect. And we're just going to tap Ford Explorer.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Okay, so we just want to make sure that these numbers match up, which in this case they do. So we're going to hit yes and pair. Okay, now it's asking.
Safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Okay, so now that it's finished up with those messages, it's asking us, do we want to allow our contacts and favorites to sync? Absolutely, so we're going to hit allow there. And perfect, so we're now connected there. Now, a few things to point out. 911 assist, I always recommend turning that one on. And the big reason why is because if the vehicle senses that we're in an accident and our phone's connected, it'll automatically dial 911 for us. Automatically contact downloads, yeah, whenever we have a contact that's new, we want to make sure that the vehicle downloads it so that it's saved inside of the system. And we're just going to hit finish from there. And as you can see there, I'm now connected. It's really that easy. We've got my call list, contacts, my phone, and a number of other things. In order to connect to Apple CarPlay, we do have to physically be connected. Let's see how that process works. First thing we're going to do, step number 1, take our USB cable, and we're just going to find any available USB port, and we're simply going to plug it in. Step number 1 is complete. From there, all we're going to do is take our USB cable, and we're just going to plug it into our phone and watch what happens. Boom, Apple CarPlay. Lets you use your phone in a way. So absolutely, in order to use Apple CarPlay, we do have to agree to this. So we're just going to hit continue. Okay, and some basic terms and conditions. So we do need to accept and agree to this in order to be able to use CarPlay. So we're going to agree. Okay, now wait a minute. Finish setting up CarPlay. So now what it wants me to do is unlock my phone. So enter your password in. If you've got Face ID, etc., we're just going to unlock the device. Boom. Connected. It's really that simple. Now a message showed up on my phone there. Do I want to allow CarPlay with Sync while my phone is locked? Absolutely. So we're going to hit allow there. And I'm now connected. Now look at this, really, really nice. So we've got the ability to use Google Maps. I can use Waze, I can use Apple Maps, I can use so many different things. So if you don't like to use the factory navigation, or maybe you don't have factory navigation in your vehicle, you've got the ability to easily choose between whatever one you'd like to. Like, look at this. We can use the Waze app directly through this middle screen. It's so incredible. Searching for addresses, very, very easy. And then just pressing this button along the bottom in order to bring us back to our home screen. So I love the fact that it's really this simple. We can look at my phone to make phone calls. We can look at my text messages, listen to podcasts. LiveX Live is a radio app, so some apps will work through this middle screen. LiveX Live, Spotify, things like that. If for whatever reason you get an app that's not working, just make sure that your iOS is up to date on your phone. I did try to connect to this earlier and I didn't have my phone up to date. It was running, I think, iOS 11. I updated to the newest iOS 14 and it easily works. So it connected without a problem. As you can see there, I'm fully up to date. Now, one of the nice things about CarPlay here is that we've also got the ability to change things up a little bit. So if we go to General on our phone, so we go Settings, General, we've also got CarPlay along the bottom. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna turn on Wi-Fi. Watch what happens. So we've got Sync3, Customize, and as you can see there, we've got a list of different icons and a bunch of different things. So if we had other things that we use more, like maybe you use podcasts more, all we have to do is drag and watch this, real time, boom, real time update. So we can easily remove things. If we do, let's say, delete the calendar app, remove it, it jumps into the very bottom, so under more apps, so I can easily add it back in if I want to. But it's really, really nice. And then if you ever mess up, you kind of don't like the organization, you can just reset it back to our default layout. 3, 2, 1, and boom, we are back to our default again. So it's really that simple. Now, in order to, so if we take a look there, nope, unplugged, okay, perfect. Now plug back in. So I accidentally unplugged there, okay, perfect. CarPlay is back, accidentally slipped it out there. But looking, so as you can see, we've got a nice, beautiful look. Now, if for whatever reason you don't want to use Apple CarPlay, but you're physically connected in order to charge up your phone, just hit this forward sync button. That's going to bring you back to that sync home screen. Now, by default, it's going to run off of whatever map is going on in your phone. But if you wanted to use the built-in navigation instead of your phone navigation, all you have to do is go into Apple CarPlay. Now, Apple CarPlay, we can completely disconnect it. So if we completely disconnect Apple CarPlay, as you can see there, it's now going to be based off of our navigation for the vehicle instead, and we can completely remove the phone as well. So it's very straightforward. In order to remove the phone, we can do it through CarPlay there, or we can look through my phone. We can view any active connected devices, which really it should just be this iPhone. Perfect, okay. So we've got my phone there, so we can either disconnect it or we can completely remove it. So we're gonna remove, and jump back to phone for a second, and we're completely disconnected, and that's how we get an iPhone connected to the Explorer. Connecting an Android device is the exact same process. So we can manually connect, so we can connect over Bluetooth if we want to just make phone calls and things like that. But if we want to use Android Auto as well, all we have to do is take our USB cable, insert it into the device, and watch what happens. Boom. Android Auto extends the Android platform. Exactly what we just saw on the iPhone. We do need to hit continue there. And same thing, we need to agree to these terms in order to be able to use Android Auto. And look at this. Connected. Watch my phone now. So Android Auto, welcome. We need to unlock in order to continue. So just going to unlock the device. Boom. Continue. All right. Android Auto would like to turn on Bluetooth and pair. So let's do that. Perfect. And we have launched into Android Auto. So really that's simple. Now, a couple things to point out here. There we go. All right, perfect. Waiting for those last little bits. So on the device, it's making sure that we automatically download our contacts, which we want to do. And then on my phone, allow access to messages. Yes, and we are connected. So jumping into our home screen there, we've got Google Maps. We can use the Waze app. We can use a number of different things directly through this middle screen as well. So really, really amazing. Now, very similar to what we just finished seeing in Apple CarPlay. If for whatever reason you don't want to use if you don't want to use the built-in navigation on your phone, you want to go to factory navigation, we're just going to hit the exit button there, and that's going to bring us back to this home screen. So we can do a hot press launch in order to get into our maps from there. So really straightforward. Press that button there in order to bring us back to the Android Auto home screen on the vehicle. But if we want to, very similar to what we just saw in the Apple CarPlay side of things, if we wanted to just get rid of some preferences, so we're just going to go to Android Auto, and we can disable Android Auto, which means I'm still charging the device, but I'm not using Android Auto anymore. I'm now using factory navigation. From there, we can jump into my phone, we can view devices, we've got this active device, and we can disconnect or we can completely remove. So let's remove it, and boom, now completely disconnected. So it really is that simple. Next up, moving into factory navigation. So you don't want to use your cell phone navigation, not a problem. You can use the factory navigation inside of the limited version of the Explorer. Taking a look. So we've got the ability to easily search for an address. So all we have to do is just literally type in an address. So we're just going to start typing in. Now the address itself, it will autocomplete. So if we just start typing in an address and just give it a second in between, as you can see there, it's going to start updating the address dynamically. Select the address from there that you'd like to navigate to. And we can either save it as a favorite or press start.
Obey traffic laws, be alert, and use voice commands while driving.
All right.
Please proceed to the highlighted route, and then the route guidance will start.
So the route is now active. We can mute it if we want to. We can pull up some of their menu options and controls, or we can press the X button in order to be able to cancel the route very, very easily. Boom, route is now canceled. So let's bring our controls back up now. We've got some menu options. So different types of screen views, traffic lists, navigation setting is going to be the big one there. So taking a look at our map preferences first, we've got 3D models, breadcrumbs, really, really neat. As we start to drive the vehicle, when we go to navigation, it'll start giving us literally a trail of the directions or the route that we've taken. So really useful if you're going to an area that you're not really familiar with, you can track where you've been. Moving back into our navigation, we've also got our point of interest icons. So do we want things like gas stations showing up on our map as well? Route preferences, do we want to go the fastest, shortest, or the most eco-friendly route? You've got whatever option there. Always use the fastest route as an option. We can avoid freeways, toll roads, car trains, of tunnels, things like that. Now, one of the nice things is that maybe you don't like to drive on freeways. We can select that, and then it's automatically, dynamically going to update the navigation for us based off of whatever our route preferences are. Last one is going to be our navigation preferences. So our prompts, do we want to have voice prompts? So as we're coming up to a turn, it's going to say, turn in 100 meters. We can have that yes or no, or it's just going to be a tone letting us know that we've got an upcoming turn. So we've got either do voice and tone, just the voice, or just the tone. Try saying that 10 times fast. All right, next up, where am I? We can do a basic search. We can look at history. We can also save a number of different favorites as well. So if we've saved, a bunch of different things, we've got the ability to do that. We can also set up our home or our work address through favorites or in the very back of the screen there. Now, one of the benefits of setting up our home and work address is when we do that, we can press the voice button on our steering wheel and say navigate home, and it's automatically going to navigate us to whatever settings we have set up there. So really, really cool. And that's the basics of using factory navigation. Next up, our app screen. There are certain apps that will work directly through this middle screen. If our phone was connected, we had things like LiveX Live, Spotify, Pandora, etc. That would all work directly through this middle screen. So some apps work, some apps don't. If your app doesn't work, just make sure your operating system is updated to the latest release, and you also have the most recent version of the app installed as well. Moving into settings, this is where things get a little bit more advanced. So we've got basic sound settings, which are going to be things like treble, mid-range, bass, and we can select balance, fade, things like that. We can reset it to a default, factory default, if we kind of mess with the settings a little bit too much. Moving back, we've got our clock settings now, so we can either increase or decrease an hour or a minute, change it to AM, PM. If you prefer the military time, we can go that route. Auto daylight savings time, so if the vehicle senses that it's that time of the year, so we're springing forward or falling back an hour, it'll automatically do that for us. An auto time zone update, so if we're in a different time zone because we're traveling east coast to west coast, west to east, etc., it'll automatically update the time zone based on the GPS location. Moving back. All right, from there, so we've got some basic Bluetooth settings as well, so we can turn Bluetooth off, we can add a device in there, we can add a phone in here.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
So a few different places, phone button there in order to add a phone in. From there, we've got our radio button. So radio, HD radio, on or off, our radio text. So the radio text and our preset pages. Let's actually do this first. So I want to update, I always recommend making sure your preset pages are set to the maximum, which is 6, and I'll explain why in a second. Preset pages at 6, radio text is on. The radio text, let's jump back to the home screen, is this information there. So whether or not that one shows up is up to you, but by changing the preset pages to 6, we've now got up to 30 individual presets. So really, really useful if you're the type of person that you like to listen to a bunch of stations. You can have up to 30 individual stations saved. Really, really neat. Now, one other thing to point out, actually, let's go back to audio for a second. Okay, I'm going to go to sources and Sirius XM. Now watch what happens. That's gone from audio to our Sirius XM instead. So we've got same thing, preset pages. We can set all sorts of channels. We can do a parental lock. So if you've got kids, you don't want them to listen to certain stations, you can lock them out. Or if you want to play a prank on your spouse, you can also do that. Different notifications, tune start, and a number of other things. So really, really beneficial if you're a heavy Sirius XM user. You've got the capabilities to customize some basic things. So if we go back to our home for a second there and change it back to FM, it's back to our radio. Next up, some driver assistance settings. Now this is where things get a little bit interesting because there's a lot of things to cover off. Starting off, cruise control. 3 different types of cruise control, either normal, adaptive, or intelligent. Normal cruise control is going to be just your normal type of cruise. So you're essentially set at cruise. If you brake, you have to reset it. The adaptive cruise takes it to the next level. Adaptive cruise control is essentially a set it and forget it cruise. So let's say if you set it at, I don't know, 100 kilometers an hour on the highway, if the vehicle in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, yours will automatically pick you back up to your set speed. Intelligent cruise control takes that to the next level, takes adaptive cruise to the next level with a tolerance level. So if we turn on a tolerance level, let's say of 5 kilometers an hour, if we're on the highway, or let's say if we're on a road and it's at an 80 kilometer, 60 mile, whatever the case may be, and it drops by more than our tolerance level, it's automatically going to slow our speed down for us. So it's not only going to set us up so that it automatically brakes for us, if a vehicle's in the way, it'll automatically recognize the speed sign and it'll slow us down automatically. So really, really cool. I always recommend keep the intelligent cruise control on. It's really, really neat setting. From there, we've got our lane keeping system. Same thing, works 3 different ways. We've got, 3 modes, our alert, which if we start to veer over into a lane without signaling, the vehicle will take over the steering wheel. The vehicle will actually shake the steering wheel, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. The aid, if we start to veer over without signaling, the vehicle will literally take over the wheel and pull us back into our lane, centering us in our lane. It's essentially almost like a hands-free driving experience. Not hands-free in the Explorer as of yet. That's in the 2021 F-150 and the Mach-E, which is coming soon. Oh, so excited. Next up, the alert and the aid will do both. So it's going to not only give us a little bit of a shake, but it'll also recenter us and pull us back into our lane. And then the intensity is the intensity of that shake. From there, we've got pre-collision assist with a number of different options. So great safety settings and great safety features there. Active braking. If the vehicle senses a potential collision, it's automatically going to pre-charge the brakes and then brake for us in order to avoid or minimize the impact of the collision. If for whatever reason braking is not an option, evasive steering takes over and it'll pull you out of the way of a potential collision. And then how sensitive is it to doing these options? From there, we've also got speed sign recognition as well, so we can get a speed warning for tolerance. So if the speed limit is 60 and we go 10 kilometers an hour over the limit based off of our tolerance, then we'll get a little message letting us know. From there, we've got our blind spot system. So blind spot system, let's hop over there for a second. And we'll toggle that off. So as you can see there, see that orange light? That's going to highlight orange whenever somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. So that's just that blind spot system setting there. I always recommend keeping that one turned on. Boom. From there, we've also got our trailer blind spot. Now, this is the trailer blind spot and trailer sway control. Reason number one, why you want to get the factory towing option. Because what's going to happen is when we enter our trailer dimensions, that blind spot system that I just showed you is not only going to cover the length of the vehicle, it'll also extend out to cover the dimensions of the trailer. So really, really cool. The trailer sway control, if the vehicle senses the trailer is swaying, it's automatically going to apply braking to the engine in order to try to get that sway under control. Cross traffic alert, if the vehicle senses a vehicle coming perpendicular, we'll get a message letting us know that there's a potential collision. And then we've got a driver alert letting us know that we should probably take a rest if we get too many notifications. And that's going to be the basics of the driver assistance. From there, we've got some basic vehicle settings. So vehicle settings, 30-minute idle max. So if our vehicle's just sitting idling, it'll automatically turn off after 30 minutes. Our rear occupancy alert, watch this. So really, really amazing feature, and it's something that's so simple. So what that belt minder does, or what that seat minder does, I should say, is it lets us know that we should check the back seat to make sure that there's nobody there, because as much as we don't want to think about it, sometimes it does happen where, you know, you might forget a child in the back seat. So this just gives us a very simple reminder to check the back seat. I love that Ford has done this, and it's such an easy thing. Next up, easy entry exit. So with this function turned on, when we turn the vehicle off, it'll automatically slide the seat back for us. As we start to move down, My Key gives our vehicle certain limitations based off of the key fob. So we can have it so we can set up a limitation for the key fob, and that would be things like maybe the radio won't turn on until our seatbelt's plugged in, or we can only go up to a certain speed. So maybe we can go no faster than 60 miles or 100 kilometers an hour. So we've got the capabilities to do that. So really useful if you're lending the vehicle out to a young driver, or you want to play a prank on your spouse. From there, we've got the onboard serial number, remote start setup. So the vehicle does have remote start. We can remote start through either the fob or through your cell phone using the Ford Pass app. So we can have the remote start active. We can turn the system off completely if we want to. And then when we're remote started, what happens? With climate control, is it going to automatically let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be, or is it going to be based off of the last settings before the vehicle is turned off? From there, we've also got seat and steering wheel. So we've got heated and cooled seats inside of this thing. So are we going to let the vehicle determine if those should be on, or are we going to have those features off? From there, duration of the remote start, is it going to last for 5, 10, or 15 minutes? Next up, we've got our windows. So windows remote open. So really cool. You can actually use the key fob to open up the windows. For the front windows, let's take a look outside and see how that's done. In order to use the key fob to remote roll down the windows, what we're going to do is press the unlock button twice. On that second press, we're just going to hold. So 1, 2, and hold. Watch this. Down they go. So it's good for the front windows. Now, one thing to note, in the Limited, you can use the remote in order to roll the windows down, but you do have to manually roll them back up again. So really, really cool and so simple as well. I love the fact that we've got the capabilities to do that. Moving back, we've also got, oh, wrong button. Moving back, we've also got our wipers. So wipers, we've got our courtesy wipe, which if with our courtesy wipe on, what'll happen is if our windshield, if we're going, we've cleaned our windshield using the windshield wiper fluid, it'll take a few seconds and then it'll just give us one more wipe to get rid of any sort of excess water that might be on the windshield. Rain sensing wipers, it's got it, keep it on, it's automatically going to adjust the speed of the wipers for us based off of how much rain's hitting the windshield. And then our rear wiper on when in reverse. Really, really cool. What's going to happen is if our front windshield wiper is going and we put the car into reverse, it's automatically going to turn on our rear wiper for us as well. So really, really neat. From there, we've also got our powered liftgate. So we've got the ability to enable or disable the switch on the outside of the vehicle. Lighting, we've got auto high beam. With auto high beam turned on, the vehicle is automatically going to turn on our high beams for us. And then if it recognizes an oncoming vehicle, it'll dim them before turning them off completely. Next up is our auto lamp delay. So our auto lamp, when we go to lock the vehicle, do our lamps turn off automatically? Do they stay on for 10, 20, or 120 seconds? We've also got our locks, so we've got a series of different ones. I always recommend keeping these things on, but like just to give you an example of what some of these things do, the mislock chirp, if we go to shut our door and the door is not completely shut, when you go to lock it, it'll give you a double beep letting you know that something's wrong. Other one to point out, our remote unlock. So when we go to unlock the vehicle, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? Again, really a matter of preference what happens there. And looking next up, we've got our mirrors. So mirrors, we can turn the auto fold setting on or off from there. So when we go to lock the vehicle, do the mirrors automatically fold in for us? door keypad code. So very last one, which gives us emergency access to the vehicle, or access to the vehicle, I should say, if we don't have the fob on us. So there's a 5-digit factory number that's going to be there as a default, and we've got the ability to program in as many codes as we want to. So really, really nice. And that is going to be the basics for our vehicle settings. Next up, Ford Pass Connect. So we've got some basic settings there. One nice thing is that the vehicle does have the built-in modem, so we can use it as a wireless hotspot. So very straightforward. In order to turn that on, you actually just have to go to your local cell phone provider. In Canada, it's Bell Mobility, in order to get a data-only plan to give this thing a hotspot for up to 10 devices. So really useful if you're on the go and you've got kids complaining, running off of data, you can just go off of that Wi-Fi plan instead. General settings. So settings, we can go between English and French, Spanish, etc. Change between Celsius and Fahrenheit, kilometers or liters per 100, miles per gallon. Change the tire pressure. This beeping that we're getting, we can turn that beeping off if we want to. From there, we've also got a few reset options, so we can reset Ford Pass Connect. So if for whatever reason we need to kick somebody off of our Ford Pass account, or if it's given us issues, we can just do a reset there. Or we've got an option of doing a full reset, so we can bring the vehicle back to our factory defaults. Next up, we've got the ability to turn on Wi-Fi at home, and what I recommend is turn on Wi-Fi and turn on your automatic updates. Big reason why is because when you're connected at home, the vehicle's automatically going to download any sort of software updates that are available and install it for you. So always recommend keep that one turned on when you're at home. Mobile apps, will mobile apps work over USB? Will some mobile apps work, yes or no? We've got our Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, so we've got the ability to easily connect. We can remove devices from there. It's deleted, that simple. Apple CarPlay, if we had multiple devices, we can turn it on or off, or we can remove it completely as well. From there, we've got some basic display settings. So display, as nice as this thing is, some people might think it's a little bit busy. If that's the case, we can hit display off, and it'll turn the display off completely, press it to bring it back to life again, or we can go into a calming screen, which the calming screen is going to just give us the time and the date, again, just making it a little bit more of a simple look. Press in order to bring it back to life. Jumping back into our settings, into our display, we've also got a series of other options. We can change around the background image or the brightness, and we've also got a few different modes. So it's currently in the daytime, well, it's in auto, but this is the look of the daytime mode. So we can switch between the daytime to always have the day look. We can have it so that it's always the night look, or we can let the vehicle determine which one should be going on. But look at this. I love the look of this blue. So I would always recommend, well, for me anyways, I would always keep this night look on permanently, or you can turn it to auto. Like I mentioned, the vehicle's going to determine if it should be the daytime or the nighttime setting, just depending on how bright it is outside. But again, it's really a matter of preference which one you select there. And moving back, next up is our voice control. So at voice control, really, really neat. Let's start off with advanced mode. I want you to take a listen for a second. 99.9.
Tuning to FM 99.9.
Okay, so we got a notification letting us know that it's changed the radio station. So we'll just jump back to the audio there, and as you can see, it has absolutely changed the station for us, but watch what happens when we turn on the advanced mode. 94.9. Okay, so we didn't get a message, but it's changed the screen. So what happens with the advanced mode, we just won't get as many notifications. Phone confirmation, when we make a phone call, do you want to call such and such person? Yes, always recommend keeping that one on. And our voice command list. So when we press the voice button on the steering wheel, this is the voice command list. So whether or not you want that one to show up, it's really up to you. We've also got valet mode. So valet mode, if we enter a 4-digit number, don't use something like 0000, use something a little bit more challenging, but look at this, it's completely locked the screen. So I can't do anything until I re-enter that 4-digit number, and it is going to completely unlock that screen for me. And then from there, we've got some ambient light choices. So if you have a preference for a different color, we can select that. So we've got orange, blue, red, etc. And that's going to be cup holder lighting and a few other types of lighting throughout the vehicle. We've got our basic navigation settings, which we've already covered off when we went through these nav preferences. Now, that is going to be the basics of this Sync3 screen. Now, as we start to move down, so a couple things to point out. We do have a little storage area there, so really useful if we have some knickknacks we need to toss. Moving down, we do have, so it is push button start on the vehicle. We've got our volume rocker knob. Oh, listen to that! Incredible, incredible sound in this B&O system, and that was only halfway. This thing sounds incredible. Then we can easily turn the audio on or off. And from the other side, we do have the ability to tune to the station if we'd like to. And from there, we've got the ability to change stations or change songs if we need to. We can turn off that beeping that we get. So as we start to get closer to an obstacle, we can turn that off if you don't like it. From there, we've got our 4-way blinkers. And then a hot press in order to get our beautiful 360 camera. But look at this. So we've got a couple different options there. So we've got our full 360 view. We've got a front partial view. Or we've got a front 180 degree view. So a stitched together view, but really, really useful if you're pulling out of tighter spaces, coming out of underground parking, etc. Then we can just hot button press in order to get rid of that as we start to move down the console. So a few things. Now, the limited version of the vehicle, we have heated seats, but we also do have cooled seats as well. And that's going to be for the driver and passenger in the front row. You'll get heated and cooled, and then second row heated seats for the dual captains. From there, we also do have a hot button press in order to turn on our heated steering wheel. And as we start to move over, we've got our max windshield defroster. And from there, we've got a hot button press in order to come up with our air distribution. Now, one thing to note, we've got this air distribution button and also a menu button. I think it's absolutely redundant. Like, you don't need both buttons at the end of the day, but this menu button is also going to pull up the ability to select dual zone climate control. Because we do have dual zone climate control, we can have it different for the driver or passenger side, but when we hit that button, we've now got that dual button, which is active when we've got a different temperature. Now, what we can do is if we press the dual button there, it's going to default us back to whatever the driver setting is. From there, we can turn the system off completely. We can go for air conditioning, max air conditioning, automatically let the vehicle determine what the temperature should be. We've got our rear window defroster. Again, just that menu button to bring up our air circulation. This is going to be the air circulation button as well. So with this thing turned off, the vehicle is actually going to take air from outside and bring it in. With the circulation button turned on, it's just going to circulate air throughout the cabin instead. From there, we've got our rear console control, which means that we've got the capabilities to select our fan speed. We can turn it on or off, or we can also lock it out, which is really useful if you've got, people in the back that are fighting over the controls. We can just lock them out of it instead, and then we can just hot button in order to get rid of that. As we start to move down a little bit more, we've got a little console, so a little bit of storage space under that. We do have our traditional cigarette lighter adapter, as well as a USB and a USB-C port, and then a nice little bit of storage space in the back there. Now moving down, so a few things, actually one thing to point out from the get-go, look at that. Phone storage, super useful, especially if you've got a phone that'll fit. Now, some phones, like the Ultra, I believe, will not fit. Now, the Note 10, things like that, so those larger phablet phones. But this is an iPhone 7 Plus, so it is a little bit of a wider phone, and I still do have a little bit of space there. So really, really nice. And we've got a few cup holders there. And now, one other thing, this thing also does have a wireless charging pad. So if your phone supports wireless charging, we've got the ability to set it up there so that it can wireless charge on the go. From there, we've got a selector switch in order to change gears. So we've got our park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then our M's for manual mode, which is going to give us better control over the paddle shifters. So really, really cool. As we start to move down from there, we've also got our electronic parking brake, our auto hold setting. So with the auto hold setting turned on, what it's going to do is it's automatically going to hold us in place. So if we take our foot, if we're come to a complete stop and we take our foot off the brake, we won't go anywhere. As we start to move down, we've got some selectable drive modes. We'll get to that in a second. But firstly, we've got a button to turn our traction control on or off. Then we've also got our hill descent control. So if we've got the hill descent control button pressed, the vehicle will keep us at, I believe it's 5 kilometers an hour. It's 5 or 6 kilometers an hour, so that we only have to control the steering wheel. So really, really useful if we're going over crazier terrain. We can just work on focusing on the steering wheel instead of our gas and brake. And then from there, last one, as I mentioned, we've got different driving modes. So watch this. So driving modes from there, let's switch that knob. So we've got our normal, eco, sport, and then our tow haul, but it also changes up the dynamic of the look of the screen. We've also got the ability to go back the other way into our slippery, trail, and then deep snow and sand, which is going to do a few things. Like as you saw there, deep snow and sand turned off traction control. So different modes are going to do different things, and it's nice to know that it is just a selector switch there in order to be able to change between the different driving modes. And then from there, we've got a little storage area. So we've got a little removable tray and a little bit of stuff underneath. And as you can see there, we've got another cigarette lighter adapter. Next up, let's take a peek at this beautiful, beautiful steering wheel. So starting off on the buttons on the left-hand side. So this one does have adaptive cruise control. So the adaptive cruise control, very straightforward. We can turn it on or off by pressing the button at the very top there. So as you can see, we've got a message that's come up. Now that's the adaptive cruise control side of things. On the left-hand side of it, it's going to be our distance indicator. So how close or how far away are we from the vehicle that's in front of us? You can just kind of make out the individual lanes there. So again, really a matter of preference, how close you are away in front of the vehicle there. From there, we've also got a lane centering system. So that lane centering that can help pull us back into our lane and make sure that we stay centered. And then we can cancel out the speed. And then once we're at the speed that we'd like to, we can either go up or down in order to set it. And then if we have to press the brake, we can just easily press the middle button in order to reset. Now, one thing to note with the adaptive cruise control, it's a set it and forget it cruise. So it's automatically going to pick us up to our speed. It's going to automatically brake for us as necessary. So you don't need to worry about constantly going up and down. Now, one thing to note is that when you first start using adaptive cruise control, you're probably going to be hovering on the gas and brake as a default, but just know that the vehicle's got your back. It is very smart from that perspective. As we start to move down, we've got the ability to increase or decrease our volume, and then we've also got the ability to mute. Off on the right-hand side, we've got a basic back button there, menu button, and then up and down, with this button in the middle being the OK button. So if we ever get a message on that middle screen, we can just press this button in order to get rid of any sort of messages that we might have. But taking a look, let's actually zoom in a teeny little bit. Okay, so as you can see there, we've got the ability to go up and down by pressing this one. So very, very straightforward. As you can see there, we've got this, which is going to let us know what screen we're on there. But we've got a few things. So going electric driving, what's going on with our trip indicator? We can just press and hold this OK button for a second in order to reset our trip defaults and reset from there. And we can move up and down looking at our tire pressure, current radio station, and a few other things. If we press this menu button, watch what happens. So we can look at what screens are showing up there. So we can have a calming screen instead, show up in the middle, our EV coach, and then intelligent four-wheel drive. So let's actually turn on the intelligent four-wheel drive, and we'll also turn on our calming screen for a second, just to show you what's going on there in a sec. We've also got the ability to change between our audio sources. So we can change between AM, FM, Sirius, XM. We've got our basic navigation. So if we had a navigation route going, it would show up on that middle screen, but we can also go towards our home address, look at previous destinations, favorites, or nearby addresses. So instead of having to jump over to the Sync3 screen, we can do everything directly on that steering wheel. Back from there, and we've got our phone. So if a phone was connected, we'd be able to make phone calls. Basic settings. So looking at our settings, we've got our brake coach as well as our oil life reset, and then our display setup. So we can also show miles per hour. So as you see there, it goes from digital miles to kilometers, and then looking at driving history. Now, that previous screen that we were on, we actually changed the selection screen. So if we go back, as you can see there, we now have a few other ones that are there. So we've got our tire pressure, which was there before, but we've got the intelligent four-wheel drive now, and we've also got the calming screen. So the calming screen essentially just means that we won't get anything in this middle. So it's just going to be a very basic screen instead. So left-hand side there, we've got our tachometer, we've got our speedometer, and then on the very bottom, as you can see there, we also do have our gas, so our fuel gauge, and then we've got the temperature for our engine. Now, as we start to move along the side, so on our left stick, the very tip, that's going to be our lane keeping system. So we can easily turn that system on or off. So we know it's on when we have those lanes. So it's essentially a bowling alley lane that shows up, and we can pull the stick towards us in order to turn on our high beams. Now this one, the auto setting is turned on for our lamps, but if we turned it on to on all the time, we can flip away in order to turn our high beams on permanently, but the vehicle with the auto lamp setting on is automatically going to turn on and dim our high beams as necessary. From there, we've also got our minus and our plus button, which is going to give us better control of what gear we're in as we're driving. Now that right-hand stick, so a few things. This one does have rain sensing wipers. So this knob there essentially is going to let us choose between how sensitive the windshield wipers are to rain hitting the windshield. So how much liquid, how fast does it go as we go? The right-hand side there, as you can see, we also do have our rear window wiper. So we can turn that one on or off very easily. You can see it going in the back there. And then we're going to pull towards us in order to get the front windshield wiper fluid going. And then we can push away in order to get the rear window wiper fluid going. As we start to move up overhead, so this one does have the programmable code. So if we've got a garage door opener at home, we've got our visor with some lights, and we can easily pull this off, and we can slide it if we need to. Lock it back into place, Moving up overhead, is very similar to what we see in Ford vehicles. We've got our sunglasses holder, as well as a number of different controls. So taking a look there, very first one is going to be an individual light for the left versus the right side. We can have all the cabin lights come on. We can have the cabin lights turn on or off depending on whether or not the doors are open. From there, if your vehicle does have that twin panel sunroof like this one does, nice look there. The one on the right hand side there is going to control the shade, whereas this one is going to control the actual windshield, the windshield wiper. It's going to control the actual sunroof, so we can open and close that as necessary. A beautiful, beautiful look to this thing. I love the twin panel roof. Like, even if you don't use it, it just opens the vehicle up so much. It's so nice. Well, folks, that was a look at the 2021 Ford Explorer Limited Hybrid. What did you think? I personally kind of love it. I love the spacing, I love the styling, and what this thing does offer. Share your thoughts with me down below. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let me know. And if you have an idea for a future video, make sure you drop it down in the comments, and I'll definitely give you a shout out in a future video that I do. But until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe.